I was told that if you are spiritually trying to heal and be a healer and all that sort of stuff, you don't have to be fully healed yourself. It's that same who we are becoming. You're able to be working on yourself at the same time as you're working with another person. And I feel like we've kind of modeled our behavior in our social therapeutic groups where because we've gotten so close and we're talking every week and working every week, we go into a social therapeutic group, it feels like we're able to know immediately what the other person's thinking and finding those perfect cues of being like, okay, let's go here and all that sort of stuff. So that's been really fun to experience and really exciting.
Yeah, I'm really loving that reminder of feeling like that our weekly gatherings when we check in or our ways of being more inviting to each other of who we are and what's going on with us helps us build that familiarity with comfort with each other as we co-lead a group and feeling those nods to what we're giving or yes anding each other. Yeah, that's great. But yeah, it reminds me as an improviser that folks used to challenge that when they used to get like, why do you have to rehearse or spend time with your improv troupe? You're just making it up once you meet up anyway. And
Yeah.
I would always remind folks that like, but it's in that relationship building, that time you get to be with your ensemble members that you grow with them so that you can be attuned to what they're doing in their scenes with you or get to know what who they are and bring that and share that in the improv shows. And in many ways, I feel like we're doing that kind of rehearsing, even though a lot of our gatherings that we do each month, both weekly with us and when we have our monthly gathering, is very improvisational. We just see what's going on with everybody, including us.
I love that invitation of focusing on the other. And yeah, in the theater world, I mean, my first go to is stage combat, where it's like you make eye contact, you non-verbally make sure the other person's okay before doing the next move and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I want to be able to extend an invitation to see how often we can uh, apply this to everyday life. It feels, especially right now, there was a Jim Carrey thing years and years and years ago where he talked about it felt like everyone was just in their own individual cars on the highway and it's just very individualized. But this performance of focusing on the other, this performance of practicing what it's like to be able to pick up another person's cues and all that sort of stuff, it'd be fascinating to see how, even if it's not, I'm going to model this every day, just being able to pinpoint, like, oh, that would have been a really good time. That'd been really fun to see when I could figure out what the person behind the deli counter is thinking and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I'd love to hear more about how we're being attuned to that with each other energetically or implicitly, because I admit I don't have a quick answer to that. I
Mm.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen or doesn't exist. My heart's going at least now to the we've been more giving to each other with more specific asks. Like I said, something like feel free to nudge someone in our group or feel free to check in with me. Or you sometimes say in a group when we're having our have feeling session, like, Luke, I see you're thinking about something,
Yeah.
right? Or I see the eyes going, or the Perone brain or whatever, which I'm not focusing on. But so, or like I will say things like, what are you feeling about that? And I think that's more maybe verbal or out external ones. So, but I'm also curious if you're feeling that and if you're feeling others that are less on the verbal, less obvious. Yeah.
That's great. Because my very first go to is during our weekly meetings. You you've been using this phrase recently where it's like I don't want to assume, but I feel that you feel, and then you'll list exactly what I'm thinking at that time. And it's just like
Ah,
really just pinpoint like yeah, that sort of vibe, which I enjoy. And oh, for me, it feels empathic almost. It feels like the emotional connection of being able to be like, I know what you're feeling, you know what I feel, and we're just in that same groove, which again is amazing that we're on opposite sides of the country and still are able to be like, yeah, I know, I know.
Yeah, thank you for that reminder. I mean, it's even one we just recently had.
Yeah.
Um, and also, like, you noticed that, like, I was feeling better in my body.
Yeah.
Like, I had been socializing that, like, I was having some issues with where I was living and some congestion and just some blockages. And you were noticing how I felt more free, more decongested energetically as well as nasally, for example. I think we're really building that kind of in tuneness
I
that I'm super
really
grateful for.
in a social therapeutic group, it's really fun to have a co-leader that you're able to have that connection with, and it's just like because then we haven't experienced it, but if something more serious is to happen in the group, I trust that you and I can work on it together to be able to guide the group safely. If you and I are this strong, I wonder what we can bring on. I wonder what we can accomplish if there's people that want to bring heavier stuff to our groups. Let's go forth. Let's see what's up.
Hmm. I love how you're giving that we're going somewhere new, whether it's how we're relating to each other or how we're inviting without prescribing new ways that our groups can create itself each month. How can we practice going somewhere new with the group?
I'm giggling because you specifically talk a lot about the magical sentence of "I don't know" and how exciting that is, and how there's so much opportunity for growth and exploration just by saying "I don't know." And yet, there's a giant part of my ego right now that's like, "No, I can figure this out."
In these past few groups, one or both of us have invited someone to go a little more emotionally than they tend to. One time, you invited me to go somewhere with the group emotionally that helped, I think, the group grow because your invitation that I yes anded created more openness for the group to say more, feel more,
Yeah,
expand more what could be given and how it could be given.
yeah, that was a fun moment. That was a
Yeah.
really fun moment, and I was thinking about that I'm struggling with phrasing. There was something about almost like being too nice or being too worried about like I don't want to push people away or I don't want to say the wrong thing, stuff like that. So it was a lot of just I mean, listening and being there for the group and all that sort of stuff, but it was less about pushing. And I feel like now, especially because of our relationship, I felt comfortable pushing you because we've been doing that to each other since October. Um, but now we're also starting to see the joy of pushing the people in the group and how impactful that can be, not just for the one individual, but for the entire group as a whole. Um, so encouraging the participants to be able to step into the spotlight. Yeah.
Totally feeling that. I was part of what's helped us grow, like
Yeah.
as a partnership, is that we've been lovingly, and I'll use your word, lovingly pushing each other to be more giving to each other.
Yeah. Which it's so funny for me personally. It's so funny that like I'm diving into these emotional scenes more or less. I'm doing social therapeutics. I am exploring shamanism and energy work and all that sort of stuff. And yet, when it came to my own emotional shares, it felt like it took a little bit longer than normal. It's like I've been focusing on the intellectual side of things for so long that it's just like, okay, but how are you actually feeling? It's like, oh, crud, I don't know how I'm feeling. How am I feeling? Someone else tell me, please.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's a total yes and to what we've nudged each other on because both of us historically have both been good at being more intellectual and nerdy with each other, and have asked each other not just see us as the nerdy, intellectual, distanced people from the work. I remember there was this one time that I remember saying, "Oh, you don't have to like you apologize. I'm going to be like totally like dirty laundry-ish." You one time you thought that you like did something wrong or that you were apologizing. I'm like, no, that's great. I want you to just give stuff, or I don't want you to have to preface it or couch it in either concern or apology. I'll I'll if we build this, I'll give you if I have any emotional concerns or struggles with it because you've invited me to do that too. That's not a one way only happening,
Oh, absolutely.
right? So if there's any concerns about the what or how we're doing stuff, we can give that to each other and not necessarily just do it blindly, but to do it with less fear or concern of doing it right or getting it right and just putting it out there and checking in and building it with each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I again, I feel like that's something I want to bring out to the rest of the audience, the public, the world. This doing it right concept, and it feels very. I don't know. It feels like 2025. We're at this point where it's like, nah, screw that. Let's mess up. Let's make the wild mistakes. Let's rather be bold and then learn rather than being just stubborn, I'm right, but learning from the mistakes and growing from the mistakes, but at the same time, not being afraid to just make that leap.
Absolutely. If we're just sticking to the familiar or traditional scripts of our lives, we're perhaps less likely to make such mistakes because we think they're tried and true ways of being us. This is the right way to say something. This is the socially acceptable way to do things. I think when we want to grow emotionally, and that includes us, it means trying something unfamiliar, unnatural,
Mm,
and doing that and building that with the group and saying, well, how was that? And what can we do with that?
yeah.
As opposed to let's critique it or let's only go this far or do these same five things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I'm curious improvisationally,
Okay.
what's something we want to give to each other, whether it's about our partnership or in our co-facilitating, that we just want to give to each other to be curious about building and moving forward. Improv.
Hmm.
What's a gift you want to give us? And if you want to direct it more towards me, that's fine. I'll build with you too, by the way. I don't know what I'm going to say,
I love it. Okay.
but let's practice what we're preaching.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So, an emotionality that we're giving to the group to be able to help us grow.
Yeah, and that no like review of what I'm expecting. That can either be something we want to give to each other or something we want to try out with our groups moving forward.
Yeah.
What's a performance we might want to go on? Um, I want you to tell me when you don't like something that I do, or you would like me to try a different performance.
Oh, okay.
More, I would like to ask you to do that. I'd like to invite you to say, I'd like you to try that a different way, or can you do it this way, or it would help me if we, something like that. I'm wondering how that feels to hear that.
I immediately thought of new choice, which I'm totally okay with. Yeah.
Say more for everybody about what new choice is.
New Choice is a short form improv game where two or more participants are performing a scene, and someone outside that scene can say new choice, and the people in the scene will have to change that little last detail that they were adding to the story. So,
Love it. Yeah, it's one of my favorite improv games. And so I'm going to invite you to, as and when needed, in a group, in a meeting, in text, whatever ways we're connecting, to ask me for a new choice if and when you'd like me to give it.
I love that. Absolutely. Oh man. And even just making it like like the game, it's less serious and it's more of bringing the fun and the play into this communication.
It's a theater invitation rather than a correction or a punishment.
Absolutely. Cool.
Nice. So
Cool.
thank you for letting me ask that of you, or at least put that out there into the world.
Yeah, that
So
was
I'm asking you for some new choice options as much as whenever you're ready to give them.
deal. I could do that. And then I know we've already talked about it. But my emotionality right now is focusing very much on trying to get out of my head. So both with my energy healing work and with social therapeutics, I I very much put intelligence as something that people value with this line of work. It's my goal to be able to go out of my head and more from the emotional empath part part that we're both so skilled with.
Nice.
So I think that will be. I feel like we've gotten better with it. Um, I will definitely credit you with taking the charge with noticing. Oh, okay, I don't want to be identified with the intelligence. How can I bring it out? But yeah, I'm gonna follow you there. I want to try to figure out how to stop worrying about intelligence and start focusing more on heart and on emotional
Hmm.
connection.
Hmm. So I'm going to nudge you because we're
You
doing
nudge
that.
away.
You put that uh, offer for growth on you
I
and
did.
not on us.
Ah,
So
okay.
while I'm not abandoning your building it, I felt like you didn't include me in it. So
Fair.
how can I be in that more with you?
You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna invite you to go on the journey with me. So that means that when we do the scary act of pushing, whether it's pushing each other or nudging each other, or whether it's nudging the group in a certain direction, it's not immediately retreating to intelligence brain, but instead it's going from the heart, from the emotion of like, okay, yeah, because yeah, I feel like we can do that. I feel that would really help a group grow.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
And that includes us.
that includes us. That absolutely includes us. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it feels through that we're changing the intention a bit more, where it's instead of thinking it out, it's feeling it out.
I appreciate that too.
Yeah, man, that's thank you for that invitation.
Thank you for that too.
That was fun.
Thank you for rebuilding it with me.
But the curiosity I want to build with is especially if it's group members that haven't met before, if it's a new person to the group, because like it took us since October
Bingo.
to get to this point. So how can we invite someone that's this is first day? Luke has been talking about this for months now. How can I be a part of it?
Really good point.
Yeah, and
Really
just
good point.
introducing the like jump in,
Yeah,
just jump in.
really good point. In fact, just to share with folks who are checking this out, I may be wrong, but I would like to say that each month we've had our Have Feelings group, there's always someone new each time.
Yeah, which is really fun.
So there's always so far been that feeling you're giving of like someone's new or someone may not know how this is going or who is in the room. And so that is a beautiful ongoing practice we can do.
Absolutely. Oh man. Yeah, and then I think that also takes the load off the new participant, where instead of what's the right thing to do, what's the wrong thing to do, it's just do it.
And we might want to let go of that burden of knowing or thinking that we're not blank enough or we don't have a sufficient enough knowledge to start and try something new together. Let go of the burden of I'm not blank enough, smart enough, old enough, experienced enough, whatever, or the concerns we have about hierarchy, like I'm not at the high enough rank, or I haven't done this, I'm not as familiar with it, and just let's try it.
I'm excited for our next session then.
Me too.
I want to see this. I want to see this in action.
Yeah. In fact, we'd love to connect with more folks who want to come do it with us.